you please tell us about discovering your gender or sexuality?
Do you feel supported by the LGBT community?
Could you tell us about your first love?
Do you feel supported by the LGBT community and how?
My first love was with somebody who I'd like to have known, but it was with a lady called Debbie Harry, who's part of Blondie. Yeah, Debbie Harry was the one for me.
You know, there is that element of kind of emotional support of people that know what you're like or the kind of things that you're likely to go through as sort of a gay person living in a relatively straight world.
Great fear and trepidation. I've got something to tell you. I'm gay. Sort of 2 hours later he said, I've got something to tell you. I'm gay too.
One thing about coming out is it's a constant process.
I didn't really discover anything, it was just always there.
It was really quite a long process overall.
I suppose I've identified as gay as more than half my life now. Now I'm 40.
Became more aware of trans issues. I started to question my own gender identity.
When I kind of hit the teenage years, I went, yeah, I do kind of like guys more, a lot more. And that was it. I started coming out to people when I was about 15, I think. Yeah, I never looked back.
She wanted it secret. I was like, I don't care, like girls, whatever, think what they want. It didn't bother me.
It was the first time that I really came to grips with my sexuality, so it was a bit of an awakening for me.
It's definitely that kind of emotional support if you're kind of, I don't know, I guess like if you're going through a breakup or whatever, it's that lots of people kind of take you out for a drink and look after you.
Over the course of a couple of years, I went from being like a bisexual woman to just being queer in general.
You have to remember this is 1950s Britain. You could go to prison for being gay.
My teachers found out that I'd come out, they were terrified of Section 28 and they shut down all conversation. We tried to set the LGBT group and we weren't allowed. Discussion about it was really completely forbidden and sort of frowned on.
I think if I'd come out when I was 16, 17, my parents would have actually been fine with it, but it was just they sort of wondered because they had this idea of who they thought I was.
Yeah.
And my mum felt that that my girlfriend at the time had persuaded me to be something I wasn't. Somehow hypnotised me or something into being gay to be with her, and it took to take my mum quite a long while to come round to it.
She also said, thank God your grandmother isn't alive to see you today. And I thought my grandmother would probably have been fine.
And I mentioned how we were trying to set up an LGBT group in school, and Mum was like, what's that? And I said, lesbian, gay, bisexual and trans. So she was like, oh, okay. I was like, did you know your dad's bi? It couldn't really have had a more positive response from my parents, I don't think.
Quite a confusing experience in terms of trying to separate out what was friendship feelings and what was romantic feelings towards another woman.
I felt totally reassured that they accepted me because they obviously accepted each other.
We all need amazing people around us, and how important it is for the LGBT community to be accepting of each other and to support each other.
So that genderqueer was probably a better description of my gender, and queer was probably a better description of my sexuality. Because how can I be bisexual if there's more than two sexes and way more than two genders?
We actually met from Gaydar. I think we were together for about just over a year and a bit, maybe a year and a half.
I think I gave everything into that relationship and I loved her so completely. I would have done anything for her.
I think anyone in the LGBT community having a sort of network of people around you is important. And I think not feeling isolated or anything like that, people can do.
So I feel that if and when I do fall in love again, it won't be blindly like I did with the last one, and it won't be cruelly because I've learned from that and I have great regret. And it won't be with kind of some of the naivety I had when I was very young, but it might make for the deepest, most long-lasting love of all of my loves.